Riot actually makes good games. Whoa, wait, hear me out. We all know Riot Games, the people behind some of the most notoriously beloved games with the kindest, most wholesome communities in gaming. Did you make a bad play? Don't worry, I'm sure your team will be perfectly fine with your honest mistake. Okay, but seriously, the games are obviously toxic. Really toxic. Regardless as to how you feel about the quality of the games themselves, you probably won't have any fun most of the time because the players do a great job of sapping any enjoyment out of them. Just uttering the words "I play League of Legends" will work as an effective form of birth control. Wild Rift isn't much better, it's just a portable money milking scheme. And don't even get me started on Valorant, God has abandoned some of you guys. But even with all that being said, what if I told you Riot actually has some good games? Hell, I'll even go one step further. What if I told you League of Legends was actually good, just not in the way you think? Now, some of you might be aware that, whilst League itself is a bitch to play, the lore is well renowned for being so expansive and extremely interesting, and luckily for us, there's other ways to enjoy this without even needing to touch League. Of course, there's the very popular online card game Legends of Runeterra, which does an amazing job of expanding the lore, but it's a game that only card game enjoyers will be able to get into. However, what you might not know is that Riot has quite a few more games on top of this, and unlike any of their other games, these are all purely single player experiences with full stories. Not only that, but every single one of these games tackles completely different genres, with there being something for everyone. They're all extremely well made too, with each taking a unique art direction that'll really leave you amazed at just how good all these games look. I think it's time we all started talking about Riot Forge. So what's happened recently that's made me want to create an entire video being positive about the demon known as Riot Games? Well, just a few days back, Riot released their new game in partnership with Tequila Works called Song of Nunu, and to get directly to the point, this game is amazing. Like really, it's so good. You'd think a game like this would be made only for the players who are already invested in the League universe. And whilst yes, that's definitely true to an extent, Song of Nunu is a game that can be and should be enjoyed by everyone. In fact, the reason I'm making this video is because I believe the game is that good, more people need to give this a try even if you aren't a fan of League in the slightest. And it's not just me saying that, look at the reception it got on Steam. A League of Legends game got an overwhelmingly positive rating. Sounds impossible, right? But really, Song of Nunu is that good. Now you're probably asking, what makes this game so enjoyable? And it's hard to pinpoint just one thing, but for those who aren't fans of League for the reasons I stated earlier, I think the biggest sell of this game I can give you is that it's genuinely a really wholesome game, and the best part about it, there are absolutely no other players to ruin that for you. Song of Nunu is such a sweet and pure game that'll just melt your heart as soon as you load into the first level. Just look at Willem, he's such a silly little fellow. I bet you just want to give him a hug, right? Well, guess what? You can! Willem well and truly feels alive in this game. He interacts with basically everything you walk past. He'll build snowmen, cast some pictures into the walls, feed you berries, and even gives you a little victory bump every time you figure something out together. He doesn't just feel like an AI companion, he feels like your best friend, which is perfect because he is. You'll become so invested in Nunu and Willem's relationship because you literally get to be a part of it for the entire game. It's not only awesome on an emotional level, but on a technological level too. Without you ever needing to tell him, Willem will go off on his own to help you complete the puzzles, being legitimately useful as a companion. It's one of the best implementations of an NPC party member I've probably ever experienced. Of course, I don't want to delve too deep because I don't want to spoil the story, but every little twist and turn will hit so much harder because of how close you get with your best bud. And the story itself, it does an amazing job of both progressing the lore for veteran League players and introducing the concept of the region to brand new players. There's so many recognizable people and places for those who do play League, whilst the introductions for these are all laid out so well for those who don't know. By the end of this game, you will have a complete understanding of a major part of the Freljord region. Like I said earlier, it's a great way to engage with the world of League without ever needing to touch that toxic cesspool of a game. For me personally, the very first thing that made me fall in love with this game were the visuals. I mean, just look at this. Every single environment you go to feels so bright and vibrant. Even though you're mostly only in snowy areas, each new section feels so different than the last. Compare these visuals with what you get in League and it's night and day. Sure, League has some amazing artwork and some killer character models, but the skins are as far as we get with this. Also, let's not talk about some of the older models either. It's always just the same old Summoner's Rift we've had for so many years now. Even their side game mode, ARM, has looked mostly the same since its introduction. But with Song of Nunu, we get to experience brand new environments and even some older, more familiar places in a fresh new coat of paint. For us longtime players, it's so awesome to get to explore some of these areas finally, like Ornn's workshop or Willem's hometown. And for new players, players, they'll have a great time traversing their lore-rich surroundings. The cherry on top of this delightful experience is the music. The soundtrack is so beautiful and is filled with pieces that experienced players will recognize. I got so happy when I realized one of the themes in Song of Nunu was a rendition of the Aram theme. Even the original pieces are absolutely breathtaking though, with Nunu's performances being some of the musical highlights. I'm being as vague as I can when describing Song of Nunu because my goal here is to get more people to experience all the things I'm talking about for the first time themselves. It really is an amazing experience, and it's a damn shame people outside of the League player base won't give it the time of day because it's associated with Riot Games. But like I said earlier, the difference here is that it isn't just Riot Games, it's Riot Forge. Every game is made in partnership with a different indie studio, and the passion of each individual studio is really seen in these games. While Song of Nunu is easily my favourite so far, I also wanted to talk about the other games they've released. Consider everything I've just told you about Song of Nunu, a vibrant 3D world with platforming, exploration and puzzle solving. Now here's another game I love from Riot Forge, this time made in collaboration with Digital Sun. Look any different? Yeah, the whole thing is a 2D pixel based hack and slash game. Everything about it is far removed from Song of Nunu, but guess what? It's still a really damn good game, and it takes a completely different angle of exploring the League lore. The Mage Seeker is a game much more focused on combat, and it shows. There are so many combos mixed in with a variety of elemental spells you can steal and consequently learn for yourself. But don't be fooled because the lore is just as deep. This isn't a game full of action and less substance. The intensity here really makes you feel Silas's rage as you revolt with him. There are once again so many different environments to explore, and each one of them looks beautiful in the sprite-based aesthetic. It really expands on the region this game takes place in, which, if it wasn't obvious enough, is definitely not the throw you would like in Song of Nunu. Again, like I said earlier, the art direction here is so unique and distinct from the other Riot Forge games, yet still looks incredible. What makes the Mage Seeker amazing is that the different angle it takes is so much more fitting for the region it takes place in. A wholesome 3D adventure game would not fit here at all, and regular League players know that, but the game being so different from something like Song of Nunu really makes the non-League players know this region is drastically different. And just like with Song of Nunu, the lore is so well explained here that you'll be caught up to date with the veteran League players by the end of this game. And for us who have played League, there are so many familiar faces here that we get to engage in combat with, all whilst using all too familiar abilities in ways we haven't been able to see them be used before. And the combat is extremely satisfying. I had a blast messing around with all the different spells and combos your fellow revolutionaries offered you. For casual players not interested in League, they'll still have a lot of fun experimenting with the combat and battling the extremely fun boss fights even without recognizing the character's abilities. Literally everything I said about Song of Nunu stands true here. It's an experience I truly think everyone would enjoy regardless of whether you hate League or not. Yet it's another game I don't hear any talk of because of its association with Riot Games and League of Legends as a franchise. These are the only two that I've personally played from start to end, but I still want to quickly highlight some of the other games released so far. Probably the most well-known Riot Forge game is Ruined King, which once again takes a completely different approach to gameplay. This time we have a turn-based RPG exploring a whole new region that introduces us to many familiar faces. Visually it looks great whilst being very different to the others we've looked at so far. I haven't played it so I can't speak much on its quality, but I have heard many times that it's a great game, and I believe that. I already know there's a lot of lore in this game too, so there's a lot to sink your teeth into. Then there's Convergence, a 2D platformer that goes for a more animated style. As you can see, it again plays so differently from the others and explores a region different from the others too. And finally, I saved this one till last on purpose. The last game I want to mention is Hextech Mayhem. Why save this one till last? Well, that's because this game is a rhythm game. You heard that right. After all the combat, exploration and platforming we just looked at, Riot Forge has actually made a rhythm game. Obviously this game is probably the weakest of the bunch and doesn't hold up to the lore-rich experiences in those, but what it does offer is yet again something completely different. Do you like rhythm games? Great! This is for you! Even you get to play League without needing to play League. It's clearly not as serious as the others and is a silly little game you can just chill out and have a bit of fun with. These games are almost like Riot's version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Each game takes certain characters and regions on the map and explores the lore behind them in a thrilling and engaging way. Marvel did this to massive success, creating fans out of complete casuals who had never touched a comic in their life, like myself. And that feels exactly like what Riot is doing here. You don't have to play or even know about League to get invested. They're really building something something with these games, and I think that's awesome. And that brings me to the point I'm trying to make with this video. Riot sucks. Their biggest titles can be fun, but they rely heavily on the players to keep it that way. Their prices are egregious, and they just get greedier as time goes on. They've been riddled with allegations that no company should ever be committing. But what's hidden beneath all the controversies lies the hidden gem known as Riot Forge. There are no controversies here, just some quality games made by people who give a damn. And I think it really is a massive shame that a game like Song of Nunu will go relatively unknown because a lot of people will see a League of Legends story in the title and write it off. If there's anything you get out of this video, please do yourself a favor and give one of these games a chance. You might just be pleasantly surprised. And with Bandletale just over the horizon, it's looking like we're about to get another phenomenal game. The future of Riot Forge is in good hands. And that's about it from me. I know making a video on Riot Games and expecting people to sit through the whole thing is a hard sell, so to anyone who made it here, I really appreciate you. Thanks for giving me a chance. It would mean the world to me if you subscribed while you're here. Anyway, I've said my piece, so thanks for watching. Bye!